Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 120 based on novel. So let's start. Wang Lin looked at the woman and calmly asked, "Why?" Killing intent filled the woman's face as she coldly answered, "There is no reason. You can live anywhere but here." Wang Lin's eyes lit up and looked at the purple cloud pavilion. He pondered a bit, then he took a few steps back, sat down, and began to cultivate. Wang Lin wasn't in the mood to start trouble. He came to planet Jianyun to find a peaceful place to cultivate, so he really wasn't willing to create animosity with someone over a house. And the situation here was a bit complicated. After pondering for a while, he figured that all of this must be related to this purple cloud pavilion. When the woman saw Wang Lin sit down, she frowned and coldly said, "You can't stay there either. You are not allowed to take even half a step within 50 kilometers of the purple cloud pavilion. Now leave." Wang Lin suddenly raised his head and a murderous intent flashed through his eyes. This woman was only at the early stage of soul transformation, so Wang Lin didn't consider her a threat. The woman didn't flinch and also stared back at Wang Lin. Shortly after, Wang Lin withdrew his gaze, stood up, and walked into the distance. It wasn't until his figure disappeared from her view that a breeze blew by and the woman found that her back was soaked with cold sweat. She bit her lower lip. Her was gaze depressed as she walked out from the purple cloud pavilion. She sat beside it, stared blankly into the sky, and whispered, "Senior brother Sun Yun, as long as junior apprentice sister is here, no one will replace you, no one." On a beautiful cliff 50 kilometers from the purple cloud pavilion, Wang Lin stopped. He waved his hand and a flying sword appeared. The sword flew toward the cliff and shortly after, a cave was formed. Wang Lin put away the flying sword and walked inside. After placing several restrictions down, he sat down and let out a sigh. His eyes were filled with a pondering light. The atmosphere of the heavenly fate sect is off. I didn't even pass the 3 trials and yet that Zhao Xingsha called me junior apprentice brother and told me that master assigned me to live in the purple cloud pavilion. And now this purple cloud pavilion has someone guarding it and she won't allow anyone to get closer. All of this is covered by a fog that I'm unable to see through. I must think of a way to see through it all, especially the story behind the purple cloud pavilion. The heavenly fate sect was very quiet late at night. Aside from the few disciples on guard duty, everyone else was cultivating. Wang Lin opened his eyes in the night, stood up, and walked out of the cave he created himself. His eyes lit up as he looked around, then he took one step, turned into black smoke, and disappeared. The purple cloud pavilion was like a sleeping beast lying in the distance. At this moment, a strand of black smoke entered the purple cloud pavilion. The purple cloud pavilion had a total of 3 floors. Wang Lin appeared on the first floor. The surrounding furnishing looked very simple, but instead of looking too ordinary, it gave off a refreshing feeling. After looking around, Wang Lin walked to the second floor. Here there was a bed along with a few chairs. There was a mountain and river painting hanging on the wall, and beside the painting hung an ancient sword. All of this looked very ordinary without anything abnormal about it. The third room was a secret chamber that was used for cultivation. The ceiling was made of a material that Wang Lin had never seen before. It looked like there wasn't even anything there, one could see the sky outside through it. Wang Lin couldn't find anything abnormal about this place. Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye, Wang Lin had already been in the purple division of the heavenly fate sect for half a month. During this half month, no one came to look for Wang Lin. Even all the other disciples gave him a strange look and stayed away from him as if he was the plague god. The All-Seer never called for him, it was as if the All-Seer had forgotten about him. No one dared to enter within 10 kilometers of the cave he created, it was like it was a forbidden area. During this half a month of time, no one said a word to Wang Lin, and Zhao Xingsha seemed to have disappeared, he never showed up again. That woman would always appear before the purple cloud pavilion every day at sunrise. She would blankly stare at it for an entire day, and for the last half-month, she did it every single day. If it continued like this, Wang Lin wouldn't mind. To be able to cultivate without anyone bothering him was very relaxing. However, on the afternoon of the 17th day, Wang Lin was cultivating inside his cave when he suddenly frowned and looked outside the cave. Outside the cave, 2 rays of light flew in from the distance. After circling around once, they landed not far away and revealed themselves to be 2 old men wearing light purple robes. One of the old men was fat and the other one was skinny. The 2 of them had cold expressions as they looked at Wang Lin's cave. One of them shouted, "Which disciple dared to open a cave here without the permission of an elder? Get out here, now!" Wang Lin's figure came out from the cave. His face was gloomy as he looked at the 2 old men. Both of them were at the early stage of soul transformation. One of the old men shouted, "Who allowed you to open a cave here? You have 1 incense stick of time to destroy this cave and leave here, or else you will be punished according to sect rules." Wang Lin's eyes became even calmer and he asked, "Who are you 2? The person who still hadn't said a word now calmly said, "The Purple Division's disciplinary elders." Wang Lin waved his right hand behind him and with a boom, the cave he lived in for half a month collapsed, creating a cloud of dust. Wang Lin's figure seemed to fade in and out in the cloud of dust, but his eyes were calm. The previously aggressive old man sneered. "Although you have destroyed the cave, you have already broken sect rules. Follow us to the main hall and someone there will naturally convict you of your crime." Wang Lin took a deep breath, then he looked at the 2 of them and calmly said, "I only want to peacefully cultivate and not get involved in all of the scheming, but ever since I came here, the only thing I experienced was prejudice. Forget it." With that, he moved forward and slapped his bag of holding. The soul lasher suddenly appeared in his hand and he whipped it toward the 2 like a dragon. The 2 old men's expressions quickly changed and they quickly moved back. The 2 of them began to chant and soon, a black and white light came out from each of them. One of the old men quickly shouted, "You dare to attack the disciplinary elder." However, the soul lasher was extremely quick. After a string of afterimages, the expression of the old man who shouted immediately changed. His body shook and then, with a crisp popping sound, he was pushed back. Blood came out from the corner of his mouth and his origin soul was whipped out 3 inches. The soul lasher specialized in attacking the origin soul. His expression revealed an unimaginable fear as he struggled to re-enter his body. However, Wang Lin wouldn't give him the chance. Wang Lin's finger drew an arc. An arc of red lightning shot out toward the old man. The old man's expression was very ugly as he spat out a cloud of mist to block the arc of lightning. The other elder's face immediately became pale and without a word, he waved the white light in his hand forward. A purple sword immediately appeared in his hand, then he pointed at Wang Lin and shouted, "7 broken stars." Just as he spoke, the purple sword cracked and split into 7 pieces. The 7 pieces of the sword carried the aura of an army of 10,000 and charged toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin suddenly turned around and his eyes lit up. An enormous amount of killing intent surged out from his eyes. What kind of gaze is that? What kind of monster did I provoke? After the old man saw the killing intent in Wang Lin's eyes, his heart trembled. Just at this moment, Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and the celestial sword appeared as fast as lightning. What appeared after the celestial sword was the half-moon blade that even Wang Lin was extremely wary of. Waves of rumbling sounds echoed. The 7 pieces of sword didn't even get close before they all shattered due to the pressure of the celestial sword. Shulikwa's laughter could be heard from within the celestial sword. Without any hesitation, the old man turned around to escape. He clearly saw what happened earlier. What caused the 7 sword pieces to shatter wasn't the celestial sword but the half-moon blade behind it. That half-moon blade swung 7 times in the blink of an eye, each hit landing on one of the 7 pieces and causing them all to shatter. However, its speed was too fast, so it looked like the 7 pieces shattered at the same time. After seeing this, how could the old man not be shocked? He secretly complained. If he knew that this was going to happen, he wouldn't have listened to Zhao Xingsha. Although he regretted it now, it was too late. Wang Lin didn't even look at that elder. With one step, he arrived next to the elder who had his origin soul whipped out. The elder was still resisting the arc of lightning when he felt Wang Lin closing in on him. He was about to give up resisting and was going to escape instead. Wang Lin's eyes were extremely cold. He waved his hand and the restriction flag appeared in his grasp. With one wave, countless restrictions shot out and completely sealed the escape route of the Elder's origin soul. At the same time, his hand reached out and he said, "Come back." The origin soul only felt a powerful force coming from behind him. Although he was surrounded by restrictions, he only needed a bit of time to break through, but right now that bit of time wasn't available. He clenched his teeth as he suddenly turned around and shouted, "I'm the disciplinary elder. Even if you are the All-Seer's disciple, if you kill me, you will still be punished by the sect." Wang Lin sneered. "It looks like you know my identity." He pulled his right hand back, causing the origin soul to let out a miserable scream and pulling it back. At the same time, Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and a bell flew out. The bell grew to 3 meters long, then Wang Lin threw the origin soul at the bell and the bell trapped the origin soul. "Refine!" shouted Wang Lin as he turned around and looked over. Over there, the other old man was forced back with a bitter look on his face. He stood within 100 feet of Wang Lin and didn't dare to move at all. The half-moon blade moved threateningly before him, and Shuligwa's arrogant laughter came from the celestial sword. "Grandson, stand still for your grandpa Shu. If you dare to move even 1 inch, I'll slice a piece off you." Wang Lin calmly looked at the old man and slowly said, "Since this place doesn't want me to remain silent, I'll show off a bit and be domineering. Now tell me, who lived inside the purple cloud pavilion before?" The old man's face was completely pale. He never would have thought that a cultivator from a wasted cultivation planet who he considered a hick could be so powerful. This person had caught him in a few short moments and was currently refining another elder. This level of power was something only mid-stage soul transformation cultivators could display. This was one of the few rare moments in his life where he felt regret. If he hadn't listened to that Zhao Xingsha, he wouldn't have ended up in such a state. At this moment, not far away from the old man, his partner who was trapped under the bell was letting out miserable screams. He was clearly suffering from the pain of being refined. When the sounds of screaming entered the old man's ears, he let out a long sigh and gave up all will to resist. He looked at Wang Lin with a complex expression and said, "Please release him first. We were wrong in this matter. Whatever you want to know, we will tell you." Wang Lin didn't move and only coldly stared at the person. The old man's face was bitter. He looked at the half-moon blade hovering before him and said, "The ancestor accepts a total of 7 disciples from each of the 7 different divisions, and he also brings in disciples from outside. However, only 1 disciple in each division is a true disciple. Although everyone else is still considered disciples, they won't get the ancestor's inheritance." Wang Lin didn't say a word as he silently listened to all of this. As he stood there, he gave off a sense of arrogance. The current him was very different from when he came to the Heavenly Fate sect. 1,000 years ago, in the Purple Division, a genius appeared. This person became the top disciple in the Purple Division, replacing the old 6 as one of the All-Seer's direct disciples. His name was Sun Yun, and he lived in the Purple Cloud Pavilion. Wang Lin's eyes became serious as he calmly asked, "What does this have to do with me?" Normally speaking, there is nothing, but 100 years ago, Sun Yun betrayed the sect and ran away for some reason. Although this is the case, the ancestor didn't send anyone to hunt him but went personally. After 1 month, the ancestor came back by himself, then he sealed the Purple Cloud Pavilion and spread the word that the next person who inherits the Purple Cloud sect will be one of his 7 direct disciples. The old man paused for a moment when he got to this part. He looked at Wang Lin with a complex expression and then said, "Among the 7 Purple Division disciples, the other 6 all grew up on planet Chen Yun, only you came from a wasted cultivation planet. Even in the eyes of the ordinary disciples, you are considered a hick and have lower status than them. If everything was normal, it wouldn't be so bad, but since you were given the Purple Cloud Pavilion, there will naturally be discrimination. Besides, your cultivation level isn't even that high, so naturally your seniors think of you as an eyesore. Due to the ancestor, they can't directly act against you, but scheming and backstabbing is unavoidable. I have said everything I can. Today's matter is our fault. From today onward, my brother and I will never get involved in the matter between you guys." As the old man said that, he looked at the half-moon blade. He dreaded this half-moon blade a lot. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. So this is the cause for all of this. He waved his right hand and the celestial sword came back to him. Shuligua let out a call, causing the half-moon blade to let the elder go and circle the celestial sword. The old man let out a sigh of relief, then he looked at the giant bell to the side. The miserable screams of his partner were extremely soft. He hesitated for a bit before saying, "He?" Wang Lin waved his right hand and the bell immediately flew into his hand. He flicked the bell, causing it to shrink. A small, green light came out from the bell and tried to escape, but Wang Lin quickly caught it in his hand. A shrill came from within the green light. "I'm a disciplinary ELD." Before he could finish speaking, Wang Lin squeezed his hand. This caused the green light to collapse, revealing an extremely weak origin soul. Without even looking at it, Wang Lin threw the origin soul into his mouth. As the origin soul entered Wang Lin's mouth, a powerful force sucked the origin soul into the 1 billion soul flag inside Wang Lin's body. After doing all of this, Wang Lin looked at the old man and calmly asked, "You don't want to leave?" The old man stared dumbfoundedly at the left of this person. He never could have imagined that this person would dare to break the sect rules by devouring an origin soul right before him. This act was that of the demonic path. His heart shook violently as he took a few steps back and forced a smile. "I'm going to leave now. I don't know anything about what happened here today." With that, he turned around and escaped with all his strength. A cold light flashed across Wang Lin's eyes as he softly said, "Kill him." Shuligua let out an happy cry and moved forward like lightning. However, the half-moon blade was even faster, so in the blink of an eye, it disappeared without a trace. A soft scream came from the distance and then in the blink of an eye, the half-moon blade flew back. Wang Lin's right hand reached out and grabbed the old man's origin soul from the half-moon blade. The old man was about to scream, but it was too late. Wang Lin threw the old man's origin soul into his mouth and sealed it within the soul flag. After finishing all of this, not only did the coldness in Wang Lin's eyes not decrease, instead it increased. He turned toward the purple cloud pavilion and began walking toward there. Since the All-Seer assigned me to the purple cloud pavilion, he must have accounted for all of this. He flew the entire way and shortly after arrived outside the purple cloud pavilion. The woman in purple was currently sitting inside the palace. She was touching the mountain and river painting, and her eyes were filled with thoughts of the past. When she noticed Wang Lin arrive, she frowned, then her body disappeared and reappeared outside of the purple cloud pavilion. As she stared at the red light flying toward the pavilion, a cold voice could be heard. "Let everyone know that I, Wang Lin, am not someone to be pushed around. Why did you come here again?" Scram! Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Without a word, his hand formed a seal and pointed at her. The celestial sword charged out at the woman and the half-moon blade quickly followed. The woman's expression changed. In the blink of an eye, the woman disappeared. Her speed was very fast, not much slower than the half-moon blade's. The half-moon blade took a swing and only got a few strands of hair. Wang Lin coldly snorted, then he pointed at the sky and shouted, "Gather!" The celestial spiritual energy inside his body gathered in his hand. A large ball of light 10 feet wide suddenly appeared over his palm. Without any hesitation, Wang Lin pressed the ball down and said, "Come out." The ball moved like lightning and descended from the sky. The ball hit the ground with a thunderous roar and then fused with the ground. At this moment, the earth shifted as if there was a giant dragon moving within it. 1,000 feet away, a ray of white light shot from the ground, revealing the woman's terrified expression. Wang Lin's eyes were cold as he stared at the woman and said, "From today onward, this purple cloud pavilion will be renamed into the Purple Forest Pavilion." With that, Wang Lin waved his hand. A ray of green light shot out and landed on the 3 words, Purple Cloud Pavilion. When the light disappeared, the word, cloud, was changed to, forest. The word, forest, was written in a very defiant and arrogant way, as if a dragon was charging at the heavens. A dominating and arrogant aura could be felt from this word that could make people's hearts tremble by just looking at it. The purple-robed woman's eyes became dumbfounded as he stared at the words, Purple Forest Pavilion, and two streams of tears rolled down her cheeks. She suddenly jerked her head toward Wang Lin and said, with a voice that was tearing apart, I'm going to kill you. With that, she moved and completely disappeared. A breeze blew by and Wang Lin frowned. He quickly backed away. The breeze was filled with killing intent. After hearing a bang, the spot where Wang Lin was just standing filled with large cracks. As Wang Lin backed up, the woman in purple appeared from within the breeze. Her eyes were bloodshot and filled with killing intent. She touched her bag of holding and a ray of red light shot out. This light turned into a red phoenix when it was high up the air. The phoenix let out a shrill and then the surroundings were covered in a sea of fire. However, none of the flames touched the purple forest pavilion but rushed toward Wang Lin like a violent wave. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He reached out and the celestial sword appeared in his hand. Celestial spiritual energy gathered in the celestial sword before he took a swing. A ray of sword energy shot out and collided with the sea of flames with a bang. This sound was extremely loud and echoed across the entire mountain. That ray of sword energy made an opening in the sea of flames. When Wang Lin calmly walked out from the sea of fire, his right thumb pressed forward. As his thumb pressed forward, the color of the heavens and earth changed. All of the color seemed to have disappeared, leaving behind only this thumb. This was one of the 3 killer techniques that Sichu Nan taught Wang Lin before they parted ways. Finger of Death. The 3 killing techniques were very powerful and demonic techniques that Sichu created from his tens of thousands of years of cultivation. In his entire life, he had only taught them to Wang Lin. With one finger, the woman's face became pale and the craziness in her eyes disappeared. She immediately wanted to retreat but found out in terror that the space around her was extremely fragile and couldn't withstand even one teleportation. If she tried to teleport, she would be lost in the void without Wang Lin even having to do anything. Wang Lin's eyes were extremely cold as his thumb moved like lightning toward the woman's brow. The purple-robed woman clenched her teeth, her body trembled, and an avatar of herself walked out. The avatar collided with Wang Lin's figure and let out a miserable groan. The avatar quickly dried out, then it turned into rays of white light that were absorbed by Wang Lin's thumb. This time, the power of Wang Lin's thumb was even stronger. The purple-robed woman's face was even paler than before. She coughed out a mouthful of blood as her body shook and another avatar appeared. The woman shrilled, "Explode!" The avatar exploded and a crazed aura spread out. The surrounding dirt and sand were kicked into the air and even the nearby purple forest pavilion partially collapsed. The explosion of the avatar caused the area to be surrounded by a cloud of dust. She felt the force around the area loosen and was about to turn around to escape. But just at this moment, from inside the dust before her, a demonic thumb appeared. The woman's eyes revealed a trace of terror and despair. What followed right after the thumb were Wang Lin's cold eyes. He looked at the woman as if he was looking at a dead person. At this moment, several rays of light flew over from the distance and an angry roar came from them. "Stop!" Wang Lin coldly snorted. He was waiting for those people to arrive. Not only did his thumb not stop, it moved even faster. At a speed several times faster than before, his thumb pressed down between the woman's eyebrows. The woman's eyes suddenly dimmed, her body trembled, and she began to fall from the sky, but her origin soul was trapped by Wang Lin's finger. At this moment, the dust cloud disappeared. Wang Lin was still floating in the air. He put his thumb next to his mouth and with one breath sucked her origin soul into his body to be sealed within the soul flag. The rays of light arched across the sky and 4 figures appeared 100 feet before Wang Lin. 3 of the 4 people were male and 1 was female. Among the 3 males, Wang Lin recognized 2 of them. One of them was the gentle-looking man, Zhao Xingsha, and the other one was Bai Wei, who he met on the trade planet. As for the last male, this person was middle-aged. Although he looked ordinary, his rage was monstrous. He stared at Wang Lin and shouted, "Killing members of your own sect. Today I'll clean the sect for master." Behind the 3 of them was a woman. She was very beautiful and had a very tempting figure. Just by standing there she emitted a beautiful fragrance. She looked at Wang Lin with a strange expression and seemed to be here with the intention of watching a show. Countless rays of light arrived behind the four of them as well. Wang Lin spread out his divine sense and found them to be disciples of the Purple Division. They must have felt the fight and came to see what was going on. These people didn't close in but stopped 10,000 feet away. Gradually, more and more people came and soon, the entire sky was covered by disciples of the Purple Division. All of their gazes were on Wang Lin. There were many different expressions among those gazes, but the most common expression was shock. The middle-aged man who shouted was about to move forward but was stopped by Zhao Xingsha. The middle-aged man looked at Zhao Xingsha and said, "What is the meaning of this, senior apprentice brother?" Zhao Xingsha's expression was very serious. He didn't pay any attention to the middle-aged man but looked at Wang Lin with a gloomy gaze. He said, "Wang Lin, you are the seventh disciple, so I'll call you seventh junior brother. What is the cause of this?" Wang Lin's expression remained the same. The appearance of these people were within his expectations. He expected that all of this was secretly manipulated by the All-Seer, but he had no idea why the All-Seer would do this. Despite not knowing what was going on, there was no trace of fear on his face at all. Zhao Xingsha was at the mid-stage of soul transformation. Bai Wei was at the mid-stage of soul transformation. The middle-aged man was also at the mid-stage of soul transformation. The only person Wang Lin wasn't sure of was the woman. Her cultivation was very strong. Late-stage soul transformation, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Toward Zhao Xingsha's question, Wang Lin calmly asked, "Who is Sun Yun?" The moment he spoke, that everyone's expressions changed. Zhao Xingsha stared at Wang Lin for a bit. Shortly after, he said, "Seventh brother, you were in the wrong. Senior brother can't help you here." With that, he let go of the middle-aged man. With one step, the middle-aged man crossed almost 100 feet and stopped 10 feet before Wang Lin. He stood before Wang Lin and said, "Trash from a wasted cultivation planet, today I'll show you what a real spell looks like." A dangerous aura came from this person. Wang Lin looked at this person and placed his hand on his bag of holding. Just at this critical moment, Bai Wei revealed a look of hesitation and said, "Second brother, using a forbidden technique on a fellow disciple is against the sect rules." The middle-aged man looked at Bai Wei and said, "He killed fifth sister. Could it be that you have your eyes on him, Bai Wei?" Bai Wei's eyes revealed mysterious light as he looked at the middle-aged man and said, "Senior brother's words have touched one of my taboos. I'll remember this." The middle-aged man snorted, then he turned around, looked at Wang Lin, and said, "Attack. I'll let you use 3 spells. Even if you're using magical treasures, I'll let you use them first." Wang Lin calmly looked at this person. This person's cultivation was at the mid-stage of soul transformation and he had far more celestial spiritual energy than himself. However, Wang Lin had a lot of magical treasures, and adding the 3 killing spells that Situ Nan gave him, Wang Lin had 70% confidence against a mid-stage soul transformation cultivator. 3 spells, Wang Lin let out a faint smile as he raised his thumb toward the person and said, "Good." In an instant, the celestial spiritual energy inside Wang Lin's body moved like crazy and his thumb gave off a demonic light as if it had attracted all the light around them. At the same time, Wang Lin took a step forward and pressed his thumb down. The middle-aged man had already noticed this spell from Wang Lin earlier. Seeing it again from up close, he couldn't help but sneer. He took a deep breath and suddenly closed his hands. A golden light suddenly began to appear from his forehead. This golden light was extremely blinding and immediately covered his entire body. A vast force spread out from this person's body. Wang Lin's thumb quickly landed on the golden light around the middle-aged man as the middle-aged man shouted, "Forbidden Avatar, return!" In an instant, the golden light seemed to have become alive and moved like crazy. At the moment Wang Lin's thumb descended, it formed an identical thumb and collided with Wang Lin's thumb. Wang Lin revealed a mocking smile as he quickly withdrew his thumb and touched his bag of holding. The soul lasher suddenly appeared in his hand, and with a one whip, the thumb created by the light collapsed. Even some of the golden light surrounding the middle-aged man collapsed as well. This is the first attack. Now it will be the second attack. Second brother, you better not dodge. As Wang Lin spoke, he whipped the Soul Lasher again. The Soul Lasher whipped out like a dragon and moved with terrifying force. With a loud "pa," the whip struck the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man's face became pale as his origin soul was almost whipped out of his body and all the golden light around him completely collapsed. Seeing that the third hit was about to come, the middle-aged man quickly backed away. Wang Lin stared at him and faintly smiled. There is still one more attack. The middle-aged man's expression was gloomy as he let out a snort and took out a large long sword. He held the large long sword and with one shake, a powerful sword intent appeared. Including that thumb, it has already been 3 attacks. How is there one more? Let me clean the sect for master today. Wang Lin, accept your death. With that, he suddenly charged out as he threw the sword into the air and shouted, "Exponential omnipresence formation." The moment the sword flew out, it split from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, and continued until there were countless swords descending on Wang Lin. At the same time, the middle-aged man sat down, his hand formed a seal, and he began to chant. A strand of black smoke came out from his forehead and remained floating in front of it. The longer he chanted, the larger the black smoke got until it was like a dark cloud in the sky. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he pointed at his celestial sword. The celestial sword flew into the sky toward the countless swords. The half-moon blade followed the celestial sword like lightning. Waves of thunderous roars came from the sky as the countless swords shattered into pieces and fell to the ground. After doing all of this, Wang Lin waved his left hand and the axe appeared in his grasp. Right now he was like a primal war god as he charged toward the middle-aged man and swung down the axe. The middle-aged man suddenly opened his eyes, revealing his completely black eyes. He let out a smile as he suddenly stood up. The black cloud above him began to rush into his body through his orifices. Forbidden Avatar Technique, Immortal Demonic Body. The middle-aged man let out a roar and took a step forward as Wang Lin's axe landed on his body. The sound of 2 pieces of metal colliding echoed the area. Afterwards, there was not a single wound on the middle-aged man's body. As for Wang Lin, he found a powerful force coming from the axe and his arms suddenly felt numb. The middle-aged man smiled, then his body shook and turned into black mist that charged toward Wang Lin. Everywhere he passed, the earth cracked up and the greenery wilted. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he backed up. At the same time, he waved his hand and the beast trap flew off his wrist. The beast trap landed on the ground and turned into the god-slaying war chariot. Killing intent filled Wang Lin's eyes. This person had started with this forbidden avatar technique. This technique was very powerful, and if it wasn't for the fact that Wang Lin had plenty of treasures, he wouldn't have been able to stand against it. The black mist formed by the middle-aged man charged toward Wang Lin like crazy. The celestial sword in the sky charged toward the black mist with the half-moon blade closely behind it. In almost an instant, the celestial sword charged through the black mist. A cold snort came from the middle-aged man inside the black mist. He didn't care about the sword or blade as he charged directly at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as his right hand formed a seal and he softly said, "Demonic Finger." The second killing spell that Sichu Nan had taught him now activated. This video will end here.